The stars were quiet. Too quiet. In the command hall of the Imperial flagship Oblivion's Wrath, General Tarkon stood staring at the galaxy through a wide viewing window. Below him, hundreds of fleets moved like pieces on a chessboard, alien ships of all shapes and sizes, preparing for war. Tarkon's tentacles twitched nervously. He had seen countless battles, fought and won, but something about humans unsettled him. They are different, he muttered under his breath. Not like the other species. Stronger, smarter, unpredictable. A nearby aide, a sharp-eyed species called the Verthians, tilted his head. General, the Council has already made its decision. We proceed as planned. The humans will be neutralized if necessary. Tarkon clenched his claws. Neutralized? He repeated, the word bitter on his tongue. You don't understand. Humans are not weak. Do you even know what you are asking? They might seem primitive, but I've studied them, their ingenuity, their will to survive. It is unlike anything I have seen. The aide frowned. The Council does not care for speculation. Humans are barely spacefaring. They are a minor species. We cannot waste our resources worrying about them. Tarkon's eyes glimmered with frustration. He had fought under the Empire for decades, seen countless worlds conquered and civilizations crushed. But humans were different. He could feel it in his gut. Something about them was dangerous, and dismissing them would be a mistake that might cost the Empire dearly. He turned away from the viewing window and walked briskly toward the central communication chamber. Hollow screens flickered with reports from distant systems. Tarkon tapped on one, pulling up intelligence from the edge of human space. Look at this, he said to his aide. On the screen, human colonies gleamed like small jewels in the void. Their defensive shields stronger than any the Empire had encountered in comparable systems. Their fleet numbers were small, but the technology. Tarkon's claws drummed against the console in frustration. Their ships were small, agile, and efficient, designs that no other species dared to use. They are building faster than we expected, Tarkon said. Their development speed, it is exponential. If the Council moves against them, we will not simply defeat them. We may awaken something worse. The Verthian blinked. Worse? Are you suggesting humans are dangerous? Yes, Tarkon said, his voice low and firm. More dangerous than any species we have ever faced. And I have seen monsters that would make your claws curl in fear. Word of Tarkon's warning reached the Imperial Council soon after. The council chambers were immense, a floating structure of shimmering light and hard stone. Hundreds of representatives from every corner of the Empire argued over fleets, territories, and alliances. Tarkon's presence drew immediate attention. General Tarkon. The High Chancellor sneered. You seem alarmist. Tell us why we should heed your human fears. Quote, They are not fears, Tarkon replied, his voice steady. They are facts. Humans are unpredictable, highly adaptable, and united in ways that no other species can match. If we provoke them, we risk everything. A council member from the Yurok species laughed. Everything? General, they are barely a fraction of our fleets. Their weapons are primitive. Their shields are laughable. You exaggerate out of caution. Tarkon felt the familiar surge of anger. I do not exaggerate. I have studied them. I have seen how quickly they adapt to threats, how they innovate under pressure. You call it primitive. I call it genius. And if we force them into war, there is no telling what they will do. The council erupted in murmurs. Some members whispered among themselves. Others shook their heads. The Empire had faced countless warnings, countless generals claiming danger, and yet history had shown that caution was often ignored when ambition was high. The High Chancellor waved a claw dismissively. Enough. Your warning is noted. But the humans will be treated like any other species. Neutrality means nothing if they stand in our way. Prepare your fleets. We move toward Earth systems in 3 standard cycles. Tarkon's claws tightened. He had failed. He could only hope humans were as cautious as he suspected they were, or that their instincts were strong enough to survive what was coming. Meanwhile, light years away, on a blue and green planet called Earth, humanity went about its daily life, unaware of the Imperial fleets amassing in nearby systems. Cities buzzed with activity. Scientists worked in labs on new technologies. Engineers built ships capable of speeds faster than anything the aliens had seen. And children dreamed of space while playing under the sun. On the surface, humans seemed ordinary. But beneath the surface, in secret orbital stations and hidden shipyards, humanity was preparing. Their technology was designed not just for exploration, but for defense. They were ready to adapt, ready to fight, and ready to protect their world if the need ever arose. Back on the Oblivion's Wrath, Tarkon called for a special intelligence briefing. Holomaps displayed detailed information about human fleets, colonies, and potential threats. Tarkon's claw hovered over a blinking light that indicated human ship movement. They are small in numbers, he said, pointing at the display. But each ship is a threat. Every human pilot is trained to think in ways we cannot predict. They innovate on the fly. They learn from mistakes instantly. That is why they cannot be underestimated. The aide nodded slowly. You truly believe they could challenge the Empire? Tarkon's eyes were hard. Not just challenge us. They could destroy us if we give them reason to fight. Reports continued to pour in. Humans had already begun to expand into nearby star systems quietly, avoiding alien detection when possible. Tarkon realized that the humans were cautious, intelligent, and disciplined. He could almost admire them if admiration did not come with fear. Days passed. The Empire's fleets were assembled, ready to move against human space. Tarkon watched as captains and admirals prepared their war plans, detailing strategies to subdue what they assumed would be an easy conquest. But Tarkon knew better. He had studied the humans' tactics, their history, their psychology. They were resilient. They were innovative. They were united in a way no empire could divide, and if pushed, they could become a storm the Empire would never recover from. When he reported his findings to the High Chancellor, he was met with the same dismissive attitudes. General, your duty is to follow orders, the Chancellor said. The humans are not our concern. Neutralize them if necessary, or leave them alone. That is not for you to decide. Tarkon bowed, but his mind raced. If only they listened. If only they understood that underestimating humans was the gravest mistake they could make. As the fleets began to depart for human space, Tarkon sent one final message quietly, secretly, a warning to any human intelligence networks he could reach. Beware. Forces are coming. Prepare yourself. He knew it might never be received. He knew the Council would never admit he was right, but it was the only chance he could give them. And somewhere on Earth, life went on, blissfully unaware of the storm approaching. The first part of the story ended in quiet tension. The Empire was moving. The humans were unsuspecting. And Tarkon, caught between duty and wisdom, waited, hoping he had done enough to prevent disaster. Because one thing was certain: if humans were forced into war, the galaxy would never be the same. The stars were no longer quiet. The Imperial fleets had begun their advance toward human space. Massive warships cut through the darkness of space, their weapons charged and ready, their engines glowing like the embers of a distant fire. From a distance, the humans' home system looked peaceful, a blue planet cradled by rings of satellites and small colonies, but Tarkon knew better. The humans were ready. In orbit around Earth, a hidden human station hummed with activity. Admiral Elena Marquez walked through the command hall, her boots echoing against the metal floors. Screens displayed alien fleets moving across nearby systems. Her crew worked quickly, eyes flicking between displays, fingers flying over controls. Every sensor, every ship, every report was analyzed and verified. Humans were not just watching, they were learning, preparing. Admiral, said Lieutenant Chen, pointing at a screen. Multiple alien fleets have entered the border. They're moving faster than we expected. They'll reach the outer colonies in hours. Elena frowned, her mind racing. Then we act faster. Alert all command nodes. Deploy the stealth recon units. And prepare the Vanguard fleet. It's time they understand why Earth is off limits. On the Oblivion's wrath, General Tarkon watched in silent dread. He had been right. The humans were not naive, and they were not weak. Intelligence reports showed small, agile human warships appearing in unexpected locations, testing the Empire's formations, learning their tactics. Tarkon's claws trembled as he realized the truth. The humans were not just defending, they were preparing to strike. The first clash came sooner than the Empire expected. Near a remote outpost in the Orion sector, a human stealth vessel, the Intrepid, appeared like a ghost. It darted among the enemy ships with impossible speed. The aliens barely had time to react before the Intrepid unleashed a precise strike. Explosions rippled through the fleet, sending cruisers spinning into the void. "You're seeing this, aren't you?" Tarkon muttered to himself. "This is not random. This is calculated." Back on Earth, Elena watched the battle unfold on live feeds. "They think they can intimidate us," she said softly. "Let's teach them why humans adapt." The humans had something the Empire did not anticipate: ingenuity under pressure. Alien tactics were predictable, repetitive. They attacked in patterns, relying on numbers and overwhelming firepower. But humans adapted instantly. When a fleet formation advanced, human ships adjusted their shields and repositioned in ways the aliens could not predict. Small drones jammed sensors, intercepted missiles, and even caused the alien systems to misfire. Within hours, a fleet of 10 human ships had neutralized an entire alien squadron, leaving the survivors stunned and confused. Reports flooded the Empire's command. Their so-called minor nuisance was anything but. Tarkon summoned the Imperial Council via secure hololink. His claws shook with frustration as he addressed the chamber. "You see what I warned you about. Humans are not weak. They are intelligent, adaptive, and united. Continuing this war will destroy more than just our fleets. It will shake the foundations of the Empire itself." The High Chancellor's voice was sharp. "General, you've already caused enough delay. Continue your orders. The humans are still a small threat. We will crush them." Tarkon's eyes burned. "Small? You are blind. You underestimate them at your own peril." Meanwhile, humans were striking not out of aggression but out of survival. They had sent encrypted messages to Tarkon, acknowledging his warning. Some of Tarkon's allies within the Empire had quietly aided him, providing information to human intelligence. The humans, recognizing a rare chance to minimize bloodshed, prepared surgical strikes, surgical, precise, and terrifyingly effective. One human warship, the Resolute, appeared at the edge of the enemy's largest fleet. Its weapons were hidden, its engines silent. It struck without warning, destroying command ships and disabling entire sections of the fleet before disappearing into the void. Alien fleets were thrown into chaos. Communication lines failed. Orders were misread. And still, the humans did not overextend themselves. In the Imperial Council, panic began to spread. "What is happening?" shouted a counselor from the Urak species. "We've lost 2 fleets. How is this possible?" "They adapt," Tarkon said quietly, almost to himself. "They learn from every strike. Every mistake we make, they use against us." Back on Earth, Admiral Elena Marquez knew the humans had only just begun. "They think they can overwhelm us with numbers," she said. "We'll show them that strategy, intelligence, and determination matter more than size. Prepare the next wave." Humans moved with astonishing speed. Supply chains, intelligence networks, and warships all worked together seamlessly. Every action was calculated. Every strike sent a clear message: do not underestimate humanity. In the heart of the Empire, fleets were retreating, their pride and confidence shattered by humans they had once considered minor. Reports of destroyed ships, disabled war stations, and missing command vessels poured in. Fear began to spread not just among the soldiers, but among the leaders themselves. Tarkon watched the chaos unfold. He felt both pride and dread. Pride that the humans were proving him right. Dread that the Empire might respond with full-scale annihilation, forcing the humans into a war they had not sought. The humans were not reckless. They avoided unnecessary casualties. Entire alien crews were captured or driven away rather than destroyed outright. Humanity's reputation grew quickly, their legend spreading across star systems. Aliens whispered about the humans who struck like shadows, who could destroy a fleet with only a handful of ships. On one distant world, a fleet commander from the Empire shook his head. These humans, they are unlike anything we've fought. Their ships, their strategies, nothing we've tried works. We've underestimated them, and it may cost us everything. Meanwhile, on Earth, Elena Marquez convened her command council. We are not here to conquer, she said. We are here to defend, but we must make it clear. Any attack against us will be met with consequences that no empire has ever faced. Sensors picked up movement in distant systems. Tarkon's warning had been correct. Provoking humans was a grave mistake. But even he could not predict the speed and precision of their response. The humans were not just defending, they were taking control of the battle, shaping the war according to their own rules. A week passed. Entire alien fleets were in retreat. The Empire's confidence was shattered. Communication breakdowns and strategic confusion spread like wildfire. Humans, meanwhile, strengthened their positions, prepared new defenses, and continued to study the aliens' tactics. Every encounter made them smarter, faster, deadlier. Tarkon sent another message to the Council. Do you see now? This war is not going as you planned. Humans are not minor. They are a force unlike any you have faced. Stop now, before it is too late. The High Chancellor's face hardened. We will not be intimidated, Tarkon sighed. A low, mournful sound. He knew the Council's arrogance would cost them dearly. And he knew humanity's patience, though remarkable, could only last so long. If pushed too far, they would strike with full force and no one, not even the Empire, would survive unscathed. In a hidden human research facility, Elena Marquez watched incoming data from alien territory. She smiled grimly. They don't know what they've done. They've underestimated us. But they'll learn. In space, the humans continued to strike, evade, and adapt. Each move was precise. Each encounter, a lesson. The galaxy was beginning to whisper of humanity, the species that fought with intelligence, strategy, and unity, rather than sheer numbers or brute force. And somewhere in the shadows, General Tarkon observed silently. He had warned the Empire. He had pleaded for caution, and now he could only watch as the humans proved, again and again, why they should never have been underestimated. The Empire had ignored the warning, and the humans were just getting started. The galaxy had changed. Once, humans were a minor species, barely noticed by the vast empire that ruled hundreds of star systems. Now, they were feared. Now, they were respected, and the Empire, arrogant and unprepared, had learned a lesson it would not soon forget. From the bridge of the Oblivion's wrath, General Tarkon watched the human fleets move with precision. He had pleaded with the Council. He had warned them, but no one had listened. Now, the humans were no longer defending, they were taking the fight to the heart of the Empire. They are everywhere, Tarkon whispered, his voice tense. They've learned our strategies. They anticipate our moves before we make them. They are unstoppable. The Verthian aide beside him shook his head in disbelief. How is this possible? We have the numbers, the fleets, the weapons. Nothing can match them. Tarkon's eyes burned with grim certainty. Numbers do not matter when the enemy adapts faster than you can react. I warned you. I told you they were dangerous. And now, the Empire faces the consequences. In orbit above the Imperial capital, Human warships gathered silently. Their designs were efficient, fast, and deadly, but they moved with caution. Humanity had no desire to destroy entire civilizations unnecessarily. They struck with precision, disabling key command vessels, cutting off supply lines, and forcing the Empire's forces into disarray. Admiral Elena Marquez observed the battle through multiple screens. "Target their command nodes," she instructed calmly. "Do not destroy unnecessarily, but make them see they cannot continue their aggression." Her fleet moved like a shadow, striking swiftly, vanishing before the enemy could respond. Alien fleets that once boasted hundreds of ships now found themselves trapped, isolated, and confused. Every encounter was a lesson for the humans. Every victory strengthened their reputation. Reports from across the galaxy began to spread. Aliens whispered of human ingenuity, how 10 ships could outmaneuver 100, how humans adapted to every tactic, how they could turn a desperate situation into a perfect counterattack. Fear spread through the Empire like wildfire. In the Imperial Council, panic reached its peak. The High Chancellor paced the Grand Chamber, claws clicking against the polished floor. "How did it come to this?" he demanded. "We have the largest fleets in known space. Yet they destroy us with such ease." "How?" Tarkon's voice was calm but sharp. "You underestimated them. You ignored my warnings. You assumed that humans were small, weak, and irrelevant. That was your mistake." Another council member, pale with fear, added, "They are not just powerful, they are united. We cannot divide them. We cannot manipulate them. And worst of all, they learn. Every battle, every strike, they grow stronger, faster than we can predict." Tarkon nodded solemnly. "I warned you. And now, you face the results. If you continue, the Empire will crumble. Not because of numbers, but because of your arrogance." On the battlefield, the humans made their final move. Using intelligence gathered from Tarkon and secret allies within the Empire, they located the Empire's Central Command Fleet. It was massive, the heart of the Empire's power. Hundreds of ships, countless weapons. But they were predictable. Humans had studied their formations, their tactics, and their weaknesses. Elena Marquez addressed her fleet. "This is it. Strike with precision. Show them what it means to underestimate humanity. We do not seek conquest, we seek peace. But if they continue aggression, they will learn the cost of underestimating us." The human fleets moved in perfect formation, each ship performing its role flawlessly. Stealth vessels disrupted communications, long-range cannons disabled key engines, and strike ships targeted command vessels. The battle unfolded with terrifying efficiency. The Empire's fleets scrambled to respond, but every move had already been anticipated. Explosions lit the void, alien ships spun helplessly, and the once proud Imperial fleets were cut down systematically. The humans advanced, not out of malice, but necessity. They sought to neutralize the threat and end the war with minimal bloodshed, but they were prepared to fight if required. General Tarkon watched in awe and despair. The humans were proving his warnings were correct in every way. Their adaptability, their intelligence, their unity. It was unmatched. And yet, there was something more. Humans did not fight with hatred. They fought with determination, with purpose, with a desire to survive and protect their world. "They are extraordinary," Tarkon muttered. "Not because of strength, but because of who they are." From the High Chancellor's seat, voices shouted in anger and fear. "Cease this madness," they demanded. "We will not allow humans to dictate the galaxy." Tarkon stepped forward, his voice cutting through the chaos. "You have already allowed it. They dictate not because they seek to dominate, but because you forced their hand. Continue your arrogance, and you will be swept aside entirely." The council fell silent. For the first time, they realized the Empire had misjudged humanity. Too late to retreat. Too late to strike. too late to correct their mistakes. On Earth, humanity had achieved a fragile but undeniable victory. Alien fleets retreated, command structures collapsed, and the Empire's forces were scattered. Messages were sent to every alien system. Humans were not to be attacked. Neutrality would be respected. Any aggression would result in overwhelming consequences. Elena Marquez stood in her command hall, gazing at the stars. "It is over. For now," she said quietly. "We did not want war. But we showed them that humanity cannot be underestimated." Tarkon, aboard the crippled Oblivion's Wrath, sent a final message to the Council. "I warned you. They are not a threat you can ignore or provoke. Respect them. Do not mistake their patience for weakness. The humans are a force unlike any you have faced. You ignored the warning. You have learned. Too late." In secret, Tarkon prepared to leave the Empire. His duty to the Council was over, and his loyalty to his people could not erase the truth. Humans were extraordinary. He had never seen a species like them. And he doubted the galaxy would ever see another. As the Empire reeled, humans returned to their own world, their colonies, and their research. They rebuilt what was necessary, repaired ships, and strengthened defenses. They had made a statement. Humanity could not be underestimated, ignored, or provoked. And the galaxy had taken notice. In quiet corners of distant systems, alien species whispered of humanity. They spoke in hushed tones of the humans who could destroy fleets with a handful of ships, who adapted faster than any mind could predict, who fought not for conquest, but for survival and unity. Humanity had earned respect, fear, and awe, and on Earth, life continued. Children played under the sun. Scientists worked in labs. Engineers built faster ships. And humans dreamed of stars. They knew the galaxy had seen their strength, but they also knew the future depended on vigilance, intelligence, and unity. For now, humanity had proven its place in the stars. They were no longer a minor species. They were a force. They were the future. And the Empire, arrogant and humbled, would never forget the lesson of underestimating the human race. Tarkon watched from the stars, a quiet smile on his face. He had been right. Humans were extraordinary. And the galaxy had learned, in fire and strategy, why they should have been left neutral. The stars were quiet again, but this time, it was a quiet that carried respect. The humans had spoken without words, had struck without anger, and had changed the course of the galaxy forever. The Empire had ignored the warning, and humanity had reminded them, once and for all, that some forces are not meant to be trifled with.